to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, I'm thrilled that you're here this week. Now, I hope as you listen to the show that you really do feel my passion and my desire, I think, to help you navigate whatever change you're going through in life. You know, it's great if we choose the change, then we sometimes have a plan. But when we don't choose the change and it's kind of thrust upon us, I think that could be daunting at times. So I hope my guests and I provide tips, strategies, and ideas to help you navigate whatever that is right now that you're trying to navigate in your life and deal with in your life. Now, to help you on that journey of change for you, I would love for you to come and join my membership. We meet twice a month, and I have an amazing community that's all about support. And we do believe that as the tide lifts, as the tide rises, we lift all boats. We lift together. We live and breathe that within my community. If you're interested, info is in my show notes. I'd love to have you come and play and join and get to know me better. And hopefully I can help you move the needle on your business or career and help you make more money through love, care, and respect. So join me. Now, my motivational quote today is by Carlto Cuse. I'm probably saying that wrong, but Carlto says, "The creative process is not like a situation where you get struck by a single lightning bolt. You have ongoing discoveries and their ongoing creative revelations. Yes, it's really helpful to be marching toward a specific destination, but along the way, you must allow yourself room for the ideas to blossom, take root, and grow." Now, the creative process is designed to produce something you want. If you don't want to create it, then why do it? Now, I find that many of my clients and people I work with confuse the creative process with problem solving. Now, you're not creating something new if you simply jump from solving one problem to the next. Creating is bringing something into being that has not been created yet. So it is therefore essential that you really care about what you want to create. Otherwise, you're likely to respond to what you think you should create. Now, avoid the dilemma of spending time, your talent, your energy, your money on things that don't matter to you. Now, once you have an idea of what that something is that you really care about, you become inspired to solve problems, to create it, and feel inspired to bring something new into being. So today, of course, I have an amazing expert who we're going to talk about this exact concept. Please help me welcome Donna Zajonc. And John, I should have said your name before we started, Zajonc. Donna is a master certified coach and director of coaching for the Center for the Empowerment Dynamic. Deeply curious about the inner workings of the human mind, Donna enthusiastically embraces professional coaching for 20 years, and she has a new book, Why Do What You Want to Be on the Way to What You Want? Coaching with the Empowerment Dynamics. And this was published in March of this year. Now, Donna's mission is to partner with individuals, teams, and organizations who want to bring their innate wisdom to life and work through the application of TED, the Empowerment Dynamic. So please help me welcome Donna to the show. And I'm excited for this conversation, Donna.
Yes, Connie, your enthusiasm is infectious, and the creative process is authentically rising right out of you. Yeah, you go, girl. That was really such a beautiful introduction, and happy to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you. And before we started, I said to Donna, we were talking about sales and business and her perspective on things. And I said that I firmly believe, and I say this frequently, is that for us to be successful in life outside, we really have to be successful internally in our inner game. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because if we're not working internally happy and joyous, and we don't have those creative energies going, we're never going to be able to translate that into success outwardly. So first question for you, Donna, is tell me about your work and why what you share and teach can help us in business, whatever that means to everybody listening.
Yes, so thank you, Connie. So my specialty in the last 20 years as a master certified coach is to work with the inner game, the relationship with ourselves, as you just said, that inner dialogue. And there's a framework that helps accelerate self-observing to hear what your inner dialogue is. When we're so busy and we're on a treadmill of life, there is an internal dialogue going on that we may not even be aware of unless we can pause and listen. And so what the Center for the Empowerment Dynamic is about is how to accelerate that without getting into added drama, trauma with yourself, just simply noticing. So about the early 1970s, Dr. Stephen Cartman named 3 main voices or roles that we play when we get uncomfortable with a situation. There's just something going on in the world we don't like. And he said there's 3 main roles we play. We feel very victim-y. We feel disempowered. I'm not getting what I want. That was the first role he named. And we can all know that it's just sometimes a big victim. We're really in a very tough spot, or it can be, dang it, I got in the wrong grocery line again. And we feel victim-y to that long line.
You said it.
The second role, he said, is the persecutor, the problem that's making me feel this way. And the persecutor is the one that leans against and has got a real fiery energy that says that, what's wrong with you, victim? Why are you doing this? You're the problem. Now, when that dynamic gets going, can you feel the energy in that dynamic, Connie?
Bad.
Dr. Cartman said, then there's always a third part of us, third role that shows up, and that's the rescuer, the hero that wants to fix that tough energy between the victim and persecutor. And the rescuer leans in and says, oh, let me help. Let me numb the upsetness you're feeling. Just give it to me. I'll figure out how to do this. It's the pleaser in us. Now, all 3 of these faces or roles or energies are in us going on at the same time as we relate outward to the world. Now, what my partner and I in the Center for the Empowerment Dynamic started thinking about 20 years ago is, wow, that's great to know those parts of me, but how about the good part of me? How about the better angels? How about this true deep essence of us that is that creator, flowing, positive energy? And that's what we have named that the antidote, if you will, to the victim mindset is that, wait a minute, I have a deep goodness in me. I have creative energy. I am responsible. I choose the destiny of my life. The opposite or antidote to the persecutor in us is challenger. That part of us that wants to learn, that has the ability to keep learning, the truth teller, the authentic, courageous, says, I got your back, creator. Let's go do this. So it's got that strong energy as the persecutor, but it doesn't persecute and tear down. It builds up and says, let's go learn this. Now, the opposite or the antidote to the rescuer is the coach in us. It doesn't have to be a professional coach like myself, but there's part of us that gets really curious. Wow, I don't know how to do this. How do I investigate this? How do I learn? So it's still a supporting role, but we leave the power, especially when we're in relationship with others. We leave the power with the other and we get curious and we ask and support them. What do you know to do? So I could say a lot more about all 3 of these roles, but we named the creator, challenger, and coach the empowerment dynamic, and it's an opposite triangle. And so our work now is to help people see, wait, time out, where am I on this game board, so to speak, of these 6 roles, and how can I self-observe and choose where I want to be? And most of the time we want to be in the empowerment dynamic, but I can tell you when I get triggered, I wallow in that drama triangle role. So does this resonate with you?
Yeah, and I'm loving it, Donna, because here's the thing. First of all, I love the idea of the opposite triangles, right? Because we are at odds with ourselves all the time. Like you said, and I first want to comment on when I'm in misery or something bad happens, I happen to allow myself, and depending on the severity of the situation, sometimes it's 5 minutes, like pull up your big girl pants, move on, and then figure out what you need to do, right? Don't just wallow in it because that's not serving you, but what do you need to do? But I will share, when COVID hit, my clients all called me, my business stopped. I had no income coming in and my husband lost his job. The business actually closed. And so he was looking for a new job and we had 2 kids in college. Yikes, right? So I allowed myself a day on that one because that was a big one. And it was just like, feel it, because I this is the other thing I think, and I'm just going to say this. I don't know if I think it fits into the idea that you just described. But if we don't feel it and we just push it out and try to remain positive, I'm going to be positive, but we never really feel it, I feel like that's when we
Mhm.
hurt ourselves. Like the rug could get pulled out super, super easy. So again, depending on the situation, I could allow myself 5 minutes. Like somebody hurt my feelings, you wallow in it and it's like, all right, pull up your big girl pants. But that one was a big one. And I had to give myself a day because I thought I was going to vomit like every minute of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never not had income coming in 40 years. It was like, holy crap, what do I do now? So
Yeah.
that perspective, that's kind of how I deal with it. The other thing I wanted to comment on, and then I'd like your feedback, but the two triangles of the angst, my words, right? The angst of the victim and those three kind of profiles, personalities. I'm not sure how you label it, but then the flip
Roles.
side is the
We call them roles because they're a
roles.
persona that really are, we're in a drama. They're roles. They're not who we really are.
That's right.
Who we really are is that creator essence, that challenger coach. So we call the drama, those are essence of who we really are. We call the drama triangle the roles that we play when we're upset and anxious about something that we don't like that's going on in the moment.
And then the flip side is we have full control of that and you said, if we kind of pause and look at the situation, then we put in ourselves in a position of power, if I heard you correctly,
Absolutely.
that I can address those roles, right, if you will, and say, okay, how am I going to combat? How am I going to coach myself? I have the answers within me. Let me, pause so I can think about it. I think that's really important. And here's the other thing I like about your dual triangle, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will. But that one side and then the flip side, two sides to the coin, it's tangible. The way you described the three roles and then the way you described, I'm going to call them the superheroes of the story, right? Those other three, it's tangible. All of a sudden, as you were describing, I thought, oh, I do have control when that drama hits. Because here's the thing, Donna, right? Crap happens and you can't always see it coming. Need I say COVID again, right?
Yes.
So this tangibility of your concept, I'm loving. So yeah. Go ahead.
You just hit upon something that people tell us so much, is that this is sticky, that they're easy to remember. And why is that? One, I think people do like graphics. It helps create a depiction in our brain where you can see that. But the other reason is that it's universal human tendencies, sometimes called archetypes. And when we resonate with something that's universal, it's like, oh my gosh, I get that. Oh, I know how I do that. I know how my partner does that. I know how my boss oh my gosh. So when it resonates that deeply like that, we remember it and it becomes sticky and we come back to it time and time again. But here's the thing. I really love what you were saying about COVID, and you gave yourself a day. Some of your listeners are going, really, a day? I'm 2 years out and I'm still working this, but that's why you have the podcast and you have so much to share. There are more than two ways to work with a fear that we feel. The first way is that we would like to just suppress it, ignore it, have it go away. But what we know now in psychology and research, when we do that, we're literally pushing an energy into our cells, and it's going to come out sideways sometime later. That's why little things can trigger us that we didn't think intellectually they should trigger us, but because we've pushed something down, it's come out sideways. The second way we deal with fear, things we don't like, is that we look for evidence to support and justify why we're upset. And when we start doing that, we start filtering the way we listen, and we look for information to reinforce our fears. And then you know what happens after that, Connie? Those fears and that information that's called confirmation bias, now they become beliefs.
Yeah.
And our opinions about things, about people, about situations, ourself. Oh, I'm not enough. Now I've got a whole file on myself to justify the information that I'm not enough. Now they become a belief. And when they become a belief, they become an identity.
Yeah.
And then when it's an identity, the way we've worked with those fears, you see how I just kept going? It's a fear. Now I got to get information to justify my fear. Then it becomes a belief. Then it becomes an identity. Now I only want to hang out with people that reinforces my identity. And that's where truth is. That is, in short, how we've gotten so polarized and really a crisis right now with the way we have dialogue. But all of this starts inside, Connie. All of it starts inside. Now, there's a third way we can work with uncomfortable feelings and fear. And that is to pause and say, wow, what just happened? I just got a flood of anxiety about something that's going on in the moment. And if we can stop and take some deep breaths, we're going to interrupt our old reptilian brain to get triggered. That's going to, you know what happens when we get triggered? Our prefrontal cortex goes offline. And thinking now is not possible. And we, you know, there may have been a little puppy dog that we see, but we remember we got bit when we were 6, and suddenly that puppy dog's a huge growling German Shepherd, and we don't tell the truth about the situation when we go offline and we get so scared. But we can say, wow, I'm going to pause. And in those few moments, I'm going to calm and relax myself. And that's going to help our thinking part of our brain to come back online. And that's where we can shift out of the drama triangle into the empowerment dynamic. So I just said a lot there, but it all starts inside. We don't immediately have the capacity to choose unless we calm and relax our body and our physiology.
I'm cracking up, Donna, when sales, right? On sales. So I have a 7-step process. And one of them is when you ask for the business, right? Everybody goes, oh, I'm going to get objections, and they start panicking. So I have a 4-step approach. So, which I teach when you get the objection, and I talk about that, the reptilian brain, right, takes over because that frontal lobe of logic shuts down. It, like I say, it has a brain fart, like it just stops working and it's doing the humada. It doesn't know what to say next, right? So I say my 4-step approach is 1, take a breath and then say to the client, I understand. So it gives you an opportunity to take that breath and just acknowledge that you heard the objection. So you say, I understand. And then I say, just ask a question. You know, what did I say that didn't make sense? Or, oh, you said it's too much money. Talk to me about budget and what's going on. I'm making this up, right? Whatever that question would be. Now, what happens is when you ask that question, the client or the prospect is speaking. It gives you that chance to take another deep breath and then think about, but what are the benefits? You know this client now because you just asked for the business. Reiterate clearly what the benefit is to that client. But you have to start by, I understand, I hear you. Ask a question so you can breathe and get your brain to reboot, if you will.
Yes.
Then come back with the benefits that you know is going to help the customer, and then circle back and say, why don't we give it a shot? Or why don't we follow up in a week, digest it, and we could follow up in a week. But now you're in control and you're not allowing that panic of, because what happens when people get objections, Donna, they go, okay, have a good day. And they shut down because the brain isn't working. It's exactly what you just said. Yes. This happens all the time.
All the time. And so we're very aligned on this. And so you work with business owners. I work with coaches to teach the coaching model and how to keep yourself present in the middle of a coaching conversation when your client is saying this or that you may not have a clue on the first hearing whatever they're saying of how to work with their challenge. And what happens as a coach, because we're such helpers, we want so much to support people and to create a better world. It's just kind of the prototype of people that go into professional coaching. Now I'm really challenging coaches to understand that they're at risk of going reactive and getting stuck in the drama triangle, and to listen what they're saying to themselves before they say anything to the client. And what I mean by this is, one of the first things is, does a coach, when they're listening to a client, fully, completely, totally see the other person as a creator? Do I believe wholeheartedly that this person has such deep goodness and creator essence in them that my job is to listen and trust however it is they're making meaning for their life, whatever it is they're saying, whatever objection, complaint that they're bringing. Do I, as a coach, internally in a conversation with myself, really believe that? Because when we don't, then we go back to being me-centered, and we suddenly start figuring out, oh my gosh, what is the tip I can tell them to how to fix themselves? Because if I don't see them as fully, wholly, complete as the creator essence, then I see them as not that.
Yeah.
And if you keep going down that road, then they don't really know what they want. They're broken. My job is to be here and help fix them. And so what role have I as a coach just slipped into? The rescuer, the hero. It's my job to bring this great, whatever it is, to them to fix them. So I love what you're saying. And I think that there is a deeper psychological thing that's going on inside of us before we ever go further down that road of suggesting, maybe let's take a week, let's get really clear about how we're seeing the other. Does that make sense to get
It
that?
does. And as you were speaking, because I teach coaching in my corporate clients, because after training, I have some non-negotiables with my clients, especially my corporate clients. So if they hire me to do training, they have to do some type of coaching. And if they already have a coaching plan, it doesn't have to be me teaching it. I'm okay with that. But it has to be reinforced, because, you spend a day with someone or a team of people, you're not changing their behavior. It's the aftermath, right? That follow-up where those behaviors can be changed, right, over time, because we're human. You can't just flick a switch and, oh, I got it. I know exactly what Connie's talking about, right? I'm perfect. It doesn't work that way. So what is that coaching? And what I find is exactly what you just said. The coach's job thinks, well, now I have to help you get better because you're broken in some way. And that's really not the case. The coach is there to say, hey, let's talk about that conversation with the client. What do you think worked? What do you think didn't work? And what do you think you could have done differently? And here's the other thing. It's not right or wrong, good or bad. There's no judgment. Hey, let's talk about it. And maybe we could come up with a better way you could try next time. Has nothing to do with me. You know what you should have said. That's not coaching. That's projecting what I think, because I'm right. Exactly what you said. I want to come in and rescue you. It's not about rescuing. It's about helping them find the next step that's going to help them in whatever the role is: parenting, working, coaching, whatever that is. Did I get that right?
You absolutely. You're leaving the power with the other. But the cultural norms is that we're supposed to know what to do when we're in a helping role, when we're in a boss, when we're a business owner. The number one thing I hear is, I should know how to do this. So we get triggered into being stuck in that drama triangle, not enoughness kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And when we do that, I can guarantee you that, because I've lived this, I'm a serial rescuer and in a recovering rescuer mode. And when we get stuck in that rescuing, helper, overdoing role, we always become a victim.
Yes.
Now, why would that be so? Let's follow the thinking here. If we're overstepping our bounds and, with a very benevolent, kind way, saying, you should do this. I've got 3 great ideas about how you could have done that better. I just want to help. How probably does the other, at least eventually, see that overstepping of the boundaries? So let's just look at the drama triangle roles, Connie. A victim, persecutor, rescuer. When someone is overstepping their bounds and giving you a lot of advice, what one of those 3 roles would you say you probably see them as?
Them giving me advice?
Yes.
Probably, say them again. It's the victim, persecutor, rescuer. I think they're the rescuer. They're coming in, they have to fix me, so they're going to rescue me. Yes.
And if they keep giving you a lot of advice that you really don't want, how will you eventually see them? Probably a persecutor. Yeah. Okay.
They're criticizing me.
All right. And when someone's persecuting us, what do we feel like?
I'm the victim.
We feel like the victim. And then we push back And then we tell the rescuer, I don't really need your advice, or we stop seeing them, or we stop talking to them because we don't like all their extra advice.
Yep.
That's then when the rescuer says, why don't they love me? And then we feel like a victim. Do you see how dynamic it is? And it can happen in a nanosecond.
In a nanosecond. And I like how you claim them their roles, because it's almost like in a drama, right? It's like watching a movie unfold, and what role am I playing in that moment in time based on whatever the scenario is. It's so funny. I'm giggling because as you were saying that, when people say, Con, what do you think? I swear to God, Donna, this is what I say every time. Do you want me to be really honest with you? Or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And they'll go, no, I really trust you. Like, be honest with me. And inevitably what I do, I ask a question, because it doesn't, I have my perspective. I have my filters of my life, right? And my experiences. That doesn't mean it's going to fix or help or move the needle or whatever it is. I ask a question and they laugh and I go, answer the question, stay with me, answer the question. And then as we go, I just take them down my logical, whatever I think my logical thing is of how I could potentially help them. But they have to see it in their life to be able to go from point A to point B to point C, to not because I'm telling them it's the right way to do it. Right. So they have to come up with the answers. Well, I hopefully guide them. So I don't come in as the rescuer, because I am not a rescuer. I will never persecute or judge or be punitive in some way. I would never want to make anyone feel that way. And I don't ever like feeling like a victim. So I would never help someone maintain that victim status. Did that just make sense?
Yes. And when we rescue, we're overstepping our boundary again. And this is what breaks our heart when we see this. We're unknowingly disempowering the other because we're not supporting them. Like you just said, you leave the power with them when we're that coach part of us. Yeah. And when we coach our children, when we coach our coworkers, again, we don't have to be professional coaches, but we can understand that inquiry, asking questions, truly leaving the power with the other, but we still partner and observe. That's where the empowerment and all boats rise. The thing about seeing these roles faster is really what we want to do here, because I guarantee you're going to now see it in the fairy tales, in the novels, in the movies. The story of human life is based upon this, the reactivity of these three drama roles. And the reason is because we have a negativity bias built into our nervous system that has helped us survive since beginning of time, whenever that was. But it's been a long time. And so our negativity bias tends to be much more sensitive to the things we don't like. That's why this is a whole upgrade in our human operating system, is to pause in what you're teaching and to get really clear about this creator essence, in believing in our goodness and in the goodness of our clients, of those that we're in conversation with. When we really believe that, we completely upgrade how we operate in life. And that's the roles of creator, challenger, coach that we're so excited about, that is helping people through our classes and trainings to live more in that place. It's kind of a continuum. Yes. We're never going to not get triggered. Of course. Especially when we wake up to this, we're going to see it everywhere, and we can actually be harder on ourselves. Oh my gosh, I know this now, so why don't I stop doing it? That's when compassion, self-compassion, self-care is so essential to help you move more your center of gravity more towards the empowerment dynamic, true essence, not roles, who we truly are.
And I'm a Wayne Dyer fan. And I think it was in his book, Wishes Fulfilled, one of my favorite books of all time. And, those mind-blowing moments, Donna, that you read something, you go like, oh my God, it just, like, everything makes sense. Right. So in one of the chapters, and he always gives exercises at the end, but one of the visuals, and I'm a visual learner. He said, if you look at the ocean, you know what the ocean is, right? There's water in the ocean. And then the next thing he says, picture a little child going down with their little orange bucket or whatever, their sand bucket, and scooping water out of the ocean to bring it back to, make the sandcastles or whatever. What's in the bucket? The ocean, right? You would say, well, it's the ocean. So he says, we're the same thing in the laws of the universe, right? We are the universe. So just like that bucket was, it's still the ocean, right? I am a drop in the universal laws. I'm still the universe. So the universal laws, all the things we're talking about, these roles we take on that we've been taught, right? And I was giggling as you said, when man started, I thought of the saber-toothed tiger Donna, chasing, the cavemen. They better have had some fear and victim mentality of run for your life, right?
Yes.
Those aren't existing anymore, but it's part of our DNA and beliefs and all those things we started with the show.
Yes.
So it's just fascinating how we think what we've learned, good or bad, right or wrong, doesn't matter. It's part of who we are and our beliefs now. And then if we don't stop to pause to shine a light on that belief, whatever that one belief is at a time, is it serving me? Is it real? Is it truth? Is it fact? Is it fiction? We don't take the time to do that because it's so ingrained and wired. And I think that's why I love the triangle model of the both sides of the coin. For me, I'm going to keep saying that, but it's that both sides of the coin that and I'm giggling because you're right. Now I'm going to see, I'm being a victim. I'm being I'm going to be the persecutor now, right? I'm going to be the savior.
Yeah.
We see it and then we beat ourselves up even more because we're just really good at being the inner critic, right?
Oh my gosh, the inner critic is the most active, and that saber-toothed tiger and that visual you just had, so who survived through those thousands of years of ancestry? The ones that were problem focused and danger focused. And that's why it's very real that our neurology has a default system that is so sensitive. Our brains are pattern sensing machines. Yeah. And we're so sensitive to patterns that say, whoa, better watch out. So no, we don't have saber-toothed tigers, but we have social threats that really are only like 20, 30 years old that our system has not updated to pay attention and work with them. So what do I mean by a social threat? Well, now on Facebook, our teenagers, it doesn't matter every age. If you're really into looking at how many likes you get for a post, if you don't get enough, that is a social threat that you have identified that now you're in danger, you're not loved. Boy, and we can then go down a rat hole. So there are many social threats and many people, maybe not those that are listening, but really don't have what they need to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel that their needs are met. And there is still plenty of danger, but we do have a choice. It's not the problem itself that is the issue. And when I coach my clients, I say, it's not the problem itself. And I'm not going to get into a problem-solving conversation with you. It's your relationship to the problem that you've identified as a problem. That's what we're going to coach about, is your relationship to what you've identified as a problem. It's a big difference.
I love it. And we're out of time, which it always goes so fast because I just feel like there's so much more that we should discuss here. But I want everybody, you got to buy the book. Who do you want to be on the way to what you want?
Yeah, just a real quick. So what it is, it's a story about a woman coaching a very headstrong client. And I share the frameworks that we just talked about through a coaching conversation. So you can learn so much about how to do this in your conversation. It's who do you want to be on the way to what you want? So we're great at goal setting. Most of us are. Yes. But what's our relationship with our beingness of how we're going to be in relationship with another, with ourselves? So that's what the book is about. And if anyone has any interest in coaching and learning more about the coaching concepts, this dialogue in this story, it's really a cool story about a couple of women. I think you would find very valuable. Yes. And it's on Amazon. And there's some, I think, a free gift that you've suggested in your notes.
Yeah. So everybody, let me give your website first. And then I would like you to tell us about the free gift. So if you're thinking, oh my God, I need more Donna, go to her website. It's theempowermentdynamic.com. If you have a question, you think, oh, first of all, go to the website, ton of free resources, ton of information. It'll really get your juices flowing of, holy crap, I kind of need this information, right? It's like it's talking to you. If you have a question, you can email Donna at Power of TED for the empowerment dynamic. So it's TED.com. And then I'm going to put the gift, the link to the free gift. Tell everybody what it is. I love this free gift.
Yeah, it's 2 pages. And for those that are graphically oriented, it depicts the 2 triangles, very multicolored, with very brief but succinct identification of the drama triangle roles and then the empowerment dynamic roles. And so it's the graphic on one side. On the other side, it's a brief scenario of how you can, not scenarios, it's a brief description of how you know that you're in one of those roles, and then suggestions on how to transform that drama role into the empowerment dynamic role. So it's a very meaty 2-page, it's kind of after 15 years of working with, I think it's our best 2-page summaries of the roles and how to get out of them into the empowerment dynamic.
Yeah. And so print it out, everybody. I'll put the link in the show notes. So please find it. But here's again, it's very visual. So you're going to love that. But here's the thing. It's like every other show I do, there's a choice, right? There's this wonderful information. It's tangible that you could kind of bite into and say, oh, yes, I am. I play the victim a lot, or, oh, wow, I am that pleaser. I am the rescuer. So, okay, that's great. No judgment, right? Be kind to yourself, lower the volume on your inner critic, use this tool, and then start implementing it and see how you could create some change in your life as it relates to the dynamics of conversations with your boss, with your kids, with your husband, with your mom, whoever is in your orbit. This is a great tool, tangible tool to help you move the needle pretty darn quickly. Donna, is that pretty accurate what I just said?
Yeah, very. And practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to start seeing it more often. And our goal is to transform it faster. It's never, these activities are never going to go away. But that is exactly, use some tips and discover, and compassion, because we're all on this journey.
We're all on this journey. And I don't know about everybody, but I know I'm not perfect. Donna, I'm close, but I'm not perfect.
You're a trip, Connie. It's really fun.
Thank you. I know I'm a total goofball. When my clients or real quick story before we end. So my niece, I had gotten her an internship at one of my clients. And so I asked them, I go, could she sit through one of my classes? I was teaching communication. And they said, yeah, of course, So she came in, and it was the cutest thing. After she came over to me and she goes, that was a trip. I go, why? And she goes, well, it was you, Aunt Con. It's Aunt Con being Aunt Con, but you're really smart about this stuff. She goes, but it was you being goofy and telling goofy stories. So it was Aunt Con. I'm like, you're really smart. Very, very cute revelation, because I am who I am, Donna. That's what I was saying before. We are who we are. Honor yourself and stop criticizing yourself, right? We all have the good, the bad, and the ugly inside. So just shine your light, man, and show up and have fun, right?
Have fun is a big key.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was such a joy getting to know you. And again, everybody, buy the book, read the book. This is one of those tools that I think can really, really rock your world. And I mean that in a good way. And it's, an easy read, download the free gift. I think that'll be the first step, and have a conversation with Donna. It will only help you move your needle quicker. So Donna, once again, thanks so much. Lovely meeting you. And thanks for being on and for sharing your, lifetime of work, with everybody. It's so appreciated and so needed.
Yes. Yeah. Well, bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you.
Take care of yourself.
Yes, you too. Yes. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together, no matter what change you're going through. My guests like Donna and I, in our conversations and tips and ideas and stories, I hope they help you move the needle to whatever change you're going through. But also, I hope it makes you realize you always have a choice. The choice is yours to do nothing or to do something. I highly recommend doing something. That's usually where the magic happens. So again, take the information, take the free gift, please apply it, do something with the information to rock your world and make that change, and whatever, again, that is for you. Thank you again, Donna. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. I wish you all an inspired week filled with joy, creativity, and just shine a light on yourself and really enjoy what you see. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks again, Donna.